At the beginning of spring, the city was gradually freeing itself from snow, leaving gray slush on the streets. In the very center of the capital, on Tverskaya Street, there was a luxurious Aurus car showroom, which was a symbol of prestige and status among the Russian elite. The day began as usual for the owner of the salon, Igor Petrovich Sokolov, a successful businessman with an impeccable reputation and connections in the highest circles. Igor Petrovich was proud of his salon, where only the most expensive domestic premium brand models were presented. The salon's clients were politicians, businessmen, and celebrities, and Sokolov personally made sure that the service met the highest standards. He was known for being demanding and prejudiced against customers who he felt did not fit the image of his business. On that day, a man of athletic build, dressed in simple sports clothes, black sports pants, a sweatshirt and a cap, entered the car dealership. His beard and Caucasian facial features immediately attracted the attention of the guards. A new client appeared in the salon and attracted the attention of both staff and visitors. It was Khamzat Chimaev, a well-known UFC fighter born in Chechnya. However, few people in the salon recognized him by. Khamzat looked at the exhibited cars with interest. His attention was attracted by the technical characteristics and features of the new Aurus models. He planned to buy a luxury car after a series of successful battles and increasing his income. For him, it was not just a purchase, but a symbol of achievement, a reward for hard work and years of training. However, the atmosphere in the salon quickly changed. The employees began to whisper among themselves, casting suspicious glances in Khamzat's direction. No one was in a hurry to come up and offer help, as they usually did with other potential customers. A security guard stealthily approached Igor Petrovich and said something quietly to him, pointing at Khamzat. Igor Petrovich, having received the information from the guard, began to watch Khamzat closely. Stereotypes based solely on the visitor's appearance immediately appeared in his mind. He decided that this man could not be a client of the salon. The owner of the car dealership, Sokolov, could not imagine that Khamzat, dressed in sports clothes, with his characteristic Caucasian appearance and simple manners, could be a potential buyer of a luxury car worth several tens of millions of rubles. Sokolov slowly approached Khamzat, but instead of greeting him and offering help, he began to ask questions with obvious distrust. His tone was cold and arrogant. He asked if Khamzat was really planning a purchase or just passing the time. Sokolov made it clear that cars of this class were available only to a select few, and their prices started at a sum that, in his opinion, was clearly beyond the visitor's means. Khamzat remained calm despite the obvious disrespect. Years of training and discipline in sports had taught him to control his emotions even in the most tense situations. He simply continued to inspect the cars, oblivious to the growing tension. However, his interest in a particular model, the latest Aurus Senat, was becoming more and more evident. The situation escalated when several clients dressed in expensive suits entered the salon. Igor Petrovich immediately turned all his attention to them, defiantly ignoring Khamzat. He personally gave the new visitors a tour of the showroom, telling them about each model in detail, offering a test drive and even treating them to elite coffee. Khamzat watched the situation closely, realizing more and more that he had become an object of discrimination. Although he was well known in the sports world, in this salon he was perceived solely on the basis of his appearance and clothes, without being noticed as a person and a potential customer. The atmosphere in the salon was heating up. One of the managers, Alexei, finally recognized Khamzat. Unlike the rest of the staff, Alexei was a big UFC fan and followed the Chechen fighter's career closely. He was shocked at how rudely the famous athlete was treated in their salon. Alexei realized that Khamzat Chimaev was not just a famous fighter, but a man with multi-million-dollar contracts and a considerable fortune. Alexei found himself in a difficult position. On the one hand, he wanted to remedy the situation as soon as possible and provide Khamzat with a decent service. On the other hand, he was afraid of the reaction of Igor Petrovich, who was known for his strict character and intolerance to violations. After a brief internal struggle, Alexei decided to act according to professional ethics. At this time, Khamzat made a decision to leave the salon. He was not ready to tolerate such an attitude and did not want to waste his time in a place where he was not respected, even if he liked the car. Khamzat was about to leave when Alexei quickly approached him. He politely greeted the sportsman, expressing his admiration for his sporting successes and apologizing for the misunderstanding. Alexei offered to tell more about the Aurus Senat model, which Khamzat was interested in. This conversation attracted the attention of everyone present, including Igor Petrovich. He was surprised to see his employee actively communicating with the unwanted guest. Igor Petrovich approached them. He wanted to interfere in the conversation, but suddenly stopped when he heard Alexei respectfully address the guest by name and tell about his recent successes in the ring. Gradually, it began to dawn on the salon owner that the man in front of him was not just a random passerby, but an athlete. The realization of his mistake came upon Igor Petrovich like an avalanche. He remembered the recent news about multi-million-dollar contracts in the UFC and how Russian fighters, especially those from the Caucasus, became national heroes. Khamzat Chimaev was one of the most promising and highly paid fighters in his weight class, and now this man was standing in his parlor being discriminated against. Igor Petrovich's face changed. His arrogance gave way to panic. He tried to remedy the situation by intervening in the conversation between Alexei and Khamzat. With a fake smile, he began to apologize, explaining his behavior by a misunderstanding and a busy work schedule. He offered a personal discount, exclusive terms of service, and even an individual program. But it was too late. Khamzat, maintaining his dignity, politely but firmly refused all offers. He thanked Alexei for his professionalism and said that he would prefer to buy a car elsewhere, where customers are valued not by their appearance, but by their personal qualities. Igor Petrovich realized that he had made a serious mistake. He had lost not only a lucrative deal, but also jeopardized his reputation. In a world where information spreads with incredible speed, a story about discrimination against a famous athlete could have caused irreparable damage to his business. Alexei, despite the possible consequences for his career, could not keep silent. He expressed his dissatisfaction with the behavior of the management and the entire team. He recalled that their job is to provide first-class service to all potential customers, regardless of their appearance, nationality, or style of dress. A premium salon should be characterized not only by a high level of service, but also by an atmosphere of respect and tolerance. Igor Petrovich felt awkward and confused for the first time in a long time. He cancelled all meetings for the rest of the day and retired his office to think about what had happened. In the silence of the office, Igor Petrovich's thoughts turned to his past. He remembered how he had started his business with a small car repair shop on the outskirts of Moscow. He had to overcome prejudice because of his provincial origin, and he had to prove his competence and right to be in certain circles. Now that he has achieved success, has he himself become the source of the same discrimination he once suffered? Meanwhile, Alexei, despite the risk of losing his job, decided to act. He found the contacts of Khamzat's representatives via social media and sent a personal message apologizing on behalf of the entire team and offering to rectify the situation. He realized that this could cost him his career at the Aurus salon, but his professional ethics and personal principles were more important. The incident did not go. One of the salon's visitors, who witnessed the incident, shared what he had seen on social media. His post quickly gained popularity, especially among fans of mixed martial arts and wushu sanda. The comments were full of outrage and support for Khamzat. Many people talked about the discrimination they faced in their daily lives. By the evening of the same day, the news spread through sports portals and blogs. The reputation of the Aurus salon and its owner Igor Petrovich has been jeopardized. Social networks were filled with angry comments and calls to boycott a business that practiced discrimination. The salon's ratings in search engines and on review platforms. Times were tough for Igor Petrovich. The flow of negative feedback and cancelled meetings with clients was. The reputation he had built over the years was crumbling before his eyes. Attempts by the PR service to mitigate the situation did not yield any results. The story was widely publicized, and caused a public outcry. After a sleepless night and long deliberation, Igor Petrovich made a difficult decision. He gathered all the employees of the salon for an emergency meeting. For the first time the entire existence of the business, he openly recognized his mistake in front of the staff. He spoke about the inadmissibility of discrimination and how important it is to respect every person regardless of his appearance, nationality, or clothing. Igor Petrovich paid special attention to Alexei, publicly thanking him for his professionalism and firm convictions. Instead of dismissing Alexei, as many employees feared, Igor Petrovich promoted him to the position of senior manager and tasked him with developing new customer service standards that exclude any discrimination. Then Igor Petrovich made a public address. He recorded a video in which he spoke honestly about what had happened, without trying to justify himself or minimize his guilt. He sincerely apologized to Khamzat Chimaev and all those affected by his behavior. Igor Petrovich announced the introduction of a new policy in his business based on the principles of equality and respect for each client. He also announced the launch of a social project in the Aurus salon aimed at fighting discrimination and stereotypes in the business environment. The video of the project launch was published on all official pages of the salon in social networks and distributed in the media. Public opinion on the move was divided. Some expressed support and praise for his honesty and commitment to change, while others saw it as an attempt to preserve the company's reputation. All agreed, however, that for a man in Igor Petrovich's position, it was an act of great courage. During the next week, the salon underwent noticeable changes. Under Alexei's leadership, the approach to customer service was completely changed. All staff, including security, went through a series of training programs on inclusivity and discrimination prevention. The salon now features a new slogan: "We value personality over appearance." It has been placed in a prominent place at the entrance. Igor Petrovich, having rethought his views, personally supervised these changes. He began to spend more time in the salon, observing the work of the staff and occasionally interacting with clients. This experience made him remember the importance of human relationships. In the pursuit of success and status, people often forget how important it is to communicate and respect each. However, Khamzat Chimaev's story was a reminder that these values must come first. After the incident, many dealers of luxury cars approached Khamzat with offers of cooperation. One of Aurus's competitors offered him to be the face of an advertising campaign under the slogan, "Real luxury is in respect." This move proved to be very successful, drawing attention not only to the brand, but also to the problem of discrimination in elite market segments. Khamzat, known for his modesty, did not seek to stir up a scandal or capitalize on it. In an interview before the next fight, he briefly commented on the situation, expressing hope that this case would help people to think about their prejudices and stereotypes. He emphasized that he holds no grudge against the salon owner and appreciates his steps to rectify the situation. This story caused a public outcry and led to a broader discussion about the problem of discrimination in Russian society. Journalists and bloggers actively discussed this topic, which allowed for a deeper understanding and awareness of it. The study found that such situations in the luxury and premium services sector are not isolated. Many successful athletes, artists, and businessmen, especially those of non-Slavic appearance, regularly face prejudicial attitudes. 2 months have passed since the day of the event, and life in the Aurus showroom is back too, albeit with some changes in operations. Thanks to the fact that management sincerely apologized and took the necessary steps, the damage to the company's reputation was gradually diminishing. On one of the usual working days, Khamzat Chimaev entered the salon. This time his appearance caused a completely different reaction among the employees. They recognized him at once, but there were no whispers behind his back, no suspicious looks. Alexei, who now held the position of senior manager, personally went over to greet the famous athlete and offered to him help and information. Igor Petrovich was surprised when he learned of Khamzat's visit. His first reaction was to hide to avoid an awkward meeting, but then he remembered his decision to change and decided to personally meet with the athlete whom he had so unfairly offended. Igor Petrovich and Khamzat met in the center of the exhibition hall. The salon owner approached the fighter without his former arrogance with sincere deference. He apologized once again, looking Khamzat straight in the eyes. Igor Petrovich did not try to justify himself or minimize his guilt. He talked about the changes that had taken place since their first meeting in the salon. Igor Petrovich apologized to Khamzat and thanked him for the lesson. Khamzat, known for his integrity and unapologetic nature, accepted the apology. He explained that he decided to give the salon a second chance after seeing Igor Petrovich's sincere remorse and real changes in the company's policy. To the surprise of the salon owner, Khamzat was really interested in buying an Aurus Sonat. The car impressed him with its technical characteristics and design. Alexei made a detailed presentation of all the features of the car for Khamzat, organized a test drive, and helped him with the choice of equipment. This time the service was on the specialist showed professionalism, courtesy, and sincerity. The meeting with Khamzat Chimaev was successful, but its significance went far beyond the usual car sale. For all participants, this story became a symbol of important changes and life lessons. For Igor Petrovich, this event marked a profound transformation not only in his entrepreneurial activities, but also in his personality. He realized how deeply rooted his prejudices and stereotypes were in him, despite his personal experience of discrimination. This story made him rethink many aspects of his life and business, revealing hidden prejudices he was not even aware of. For Alexei, this episode was pivotal in his career. His honesty and professionalism were praised not only by his management, but also by his clients. He became a role model for other employees, demonstrating that loyalty to their principles and respect for people are ultimately more beneficial than blind adherence to stereotypes or sycophancy in front of superiors. For the staff of the salon, the story of Khamzat became a powerful stimulus for the formation of a new corporate culture. The initial resistance to change was replaced by a realization of its necessity. The employees realized that true prestige and elitism are determined not by high prices or exclusivity of goods, but by sincerity and respect for each other. The story of the Aurus salon, known for its impeccable service and attention to each client, received an unexpected continuation in the Moscow business community. The story of a salon that faced the problem of discrimination became a topic for discussion at various business meetings and in professional circles. Igor Petrovich, the head of the salon, began to be invited to give speeches where he spoke openly about his mistake and how it affected his views on business and human relations. After the incident, Igor Petrovich launched a social project to combat discrimination, which turned into a full-fledged nonprofit organization. It conducted trainings and seminars for businesses, developed standards of service without discrimination, and supported initiatives to promote equality and respect in society. Other representatives of the elite market segment joined the project and realized the importance of these issues for modern business. A year passed since the incident in the Aurus car showroom that everyone remembers. During this time, a lot has changed, both in the lives of the protagonists of this story and in the life of the entire business community. This case became a turning point not only for its participants, but also for the public perception of the problem of discrimination in the sphere of luxury and elite services. Khamzat Chimaev, having reached new heights in his sports career, became the UFC champion in his weight category. At the press conference after the victorious fight, one of the journalists asked him a question about the incident in the car dealership. Khamzat answered with, he emphasized that the ability to admit one's mistakes and work on oneself is something that should be part of every person's life. He emphasized that the ability to admit one's mistakes and work on oneself is something that should become an integral part of every person's life. This is what unites successful people in any sphere, be it sports or business. Igor Petrovich Sokolov not only developed his business, but also rethought his life position. Under his leadership, the Aurus Salon became a model of socially responsible business where every client could count on equal and respectful treatment. Moreover, Igor Petrovich actively interacted with various charitable organizations, supporting initiatives to integrate and adapt people from different cultural and social backgrounds. Thanks to his skill and unyielding principles, Alexei became Igor Petrovich's business associate. His approach to customer service, based on sincere respect for each person's personality, became a hallmark of the salon and attracted clients even in conditions of economic uncertainty and high competition. The organization, which originally emerged as a social project of Igor Petrovich, is now active throughout the country. Its initiatives aimed at combating discrimination in the business environment have received approval and support from both entrepreneurs and society. Thanks to the efforts of the organization and its partners, including government agencies and international organizations, the problem of discrimination has become more visible and discussed in society. The story of Khamzat and Igor Petrovich became an occasion for a more open and broader discussion of the hidden biases and stereotypes that still exist in Russian society. People began to realize how their own preconceptions can influence their actions and decisions, and began to learn how to notice and overcome these biases. The story that began with an unpleasant case based on prejudice became an example of how realizing one's mistakes and being willing to change can lead to positive changes not only in one's personal life, but also in society as a whole.